Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Council meeting of Tuesday, the 22nd of July 2025. As we've already been in the meeting, I'm not going to go through health and safety, but please be aware this is being live streamed on YouTube and will be publicly available. Members, could you please remember to speak clearly into your mics and keep your mobile phones off. Thank you very much. So we're going to move at pace through this. So I can see we've got a full council. Thank you. So there are no apologies. We have no public forum and no late items, confidential business or change in the order of business. This today is around submissions on phase 2 of the resource management reforms, the national direction. So this is obviously a report and a lot of information. A lot of this is very technical. So I think the best case is to hand over to the experts and let us talk through this, and then we can have a bit of a discussion. We'll keep it quite relaxed so we can sort of communicate with each other and give some direction, but happy, yeah.
Thanks, Mayor Mahe. So as the Mayor said, this relates to the government direction around national policy relating to land use and other matters. We did workshop this with you in a public workshop, and the feedback that you gave us from that workshop has been incorporated. Just want to note that we've tabled three amended pages, and they are in Stella for you, and they show the track changes in red. They're relatively minor, and they've come from work that we've been working with our smart growth partners just to get alignment and a few minor amendments. So, and we'll suggest a slightly amended resolution to take in effect to those. We're happy to work through any particular areas, but the one I probably wanted to draw your attention to was the matter that was the most conversation when we had the workshop, which was around telecommunications. So you'll recall you've had members of the public came to you, and we said we had a little bit of flexibility because it was set by national direction, and at that time you made the decision that when an opportunity came, you try to influence that. So I'd really just like to take you to page 44 of your agenda, and we've tried to take the direction that you gave us and reflect it in that wording, but that's probably the one matter that we specifically wanted to check in with you whether we'd captured well what you wanted, which was to make sure that there was a mechanism that there would be a connection and engagement with council, and an opportunity for you to reflect the views of the local community, and particularly in relation to those polls and where they would go, that there might be better locations. So rather than having a veto, an opportunity to engage to ensure that it was at the optimal location from a community perspective if there were options. But as I say, we're happy to work through it. If there's any particular things, we'll work through it. We sort of feel we had most of the conversation at the workshop, and we're relatively comfortable that we picked up your direction from that workshop.
So yeah, so page 44.
6.5.
Yeah, 6.5.1. Councillor Taylor.
Herb and I have been involved with the residents that are concerned about the poles outside the houses. One of the things that came from our last session with them and Connexa was the potential for us to actually use reserves to put some of these poles. Is that something I'm just trying to see whether you've got it on there.
The National Environmental Standards for telecommunications provide for poles to be located in open space zones. So there is a rule framework to enable that to occur. Yes, already, correct.
Just on that though, there's a consenting issue, isn't there?
Can I ask, through the chair, for some clarification?
Oh, so my understanding from the conversations I've had, they can effectively put it in a road reserve very easily, but if they put it in a park, they've got to go through a whole consenting process with the council.
Our understanding of the National Environmental Standards, as we've read them, is that there is a pathway for them to be located, and it doesn't need a consent. It's whether they can meet those requirements.
Okay.
Sorry, I'll leave back in here. Definitely in the meeting, Connexa said that was too hard for them. They wouldn't even consider it coming out of the road reserve and going into it. So this is the one at Greeton, related to Pemberton Park. Potentially a wide open space where a pole wouldn't be that much of a worry.
Could I suggest that we make an amendment to the submission under telecommunications, a general submission point, to reiterate that they should be able to be, or confirming that they should be able to be permitted within the open space zone, just to reiterate that point and make sure that it's very clear from Tauranga City Council.
Because, yeah, that was my understanding. Even Yatton Park, they were saying the issues to try to get that consented were so steep that it wasn't really an option. But
we can look into it further. It may be something to do with the Reserves Act. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
Our reading of the National Environmental Standards is that we didn't see the barrier there, but there could be a barrier elsewhere.
Okay,
But happy
no,
to put a point in the
yeah.
submission to make it very clear that we want it enabled within that open space zone.
Yeah.
Can I just make, sorry, I'm just raising a comment that was made actually at the combined Tangata Whenua forum when they had an update from Powerco, and there was something about needing to put new poles in across land that was mostly Māori land, and they were just trying to work out the best way to do that, and there was some concern that over time some people might allow that without needing any consent from anyone else, and that these might be really ugly lines, power poles going across. Sorry, I'm not an expert, I'm just thinking, is that something we need to be enabled or concerned about in terms of any changes? Which is raised not by us but by Tangata Whenua, and I'm just wanting to put it on the table to see if that's something we need to be thinking about, whether that's something we can action in the correct way.
So our understanding is that where there's private land ownership, you still need to get approval for that infrastructure within that location. I would point out that in one of our requested amendments that we've tabled with you today, under National Policy Statement for Infrastructure, we have reinforced the engagement with Tangata Whenua, and that it is important that that occurs in terms of infrastructure generally.
So I guess back to staff, is there, obviously Christine, you pointed out that one part. We've had a pretty good opportunity to go through this. Is there any other parts you feel are important, or is there any, from council, is there any parts that you really want to focus in on or discuss?
I think from a staff perspective, the workshop was quite thorough and we went through quite a lot of detail with you. Your direction was really clear. We felt like we'd captured all of that and we're comfortable. This was probably the only one that we really just wanted to check in, had we got it right. Just looking at the team. So I think it was a thorough, and we don't see anything else that we need to bring to your attention.
Yeah. Councillor Crowther.
I'm probably due to my laziness, I hadn't sort of fully researched this, but can you just clarify the reason for adding under 6.1.4 with strategic planning documents? Then what's the need to say that it's been consulted on under the LGA? I'm just trying to sort of figure out what you're trying to maybe prevent from happening if that wasn't there.
answer that. I mean, I guess essentially we have documents such as Smart Growth Strategy 2024, which have gone through an LGA process, other projects, and effectively it provides a higher degree of weight where we've received a level of public submission, and then it's been through a forum of decision makers to give it that weight. Whereas, without having been through that process, it simply may not have, been through a process that gives it weight that we'd want to rely on it for decision making.
Clearly, that would mean that things could result from that wouldn't then have to be consulted on. Is that what you're saying? And this way you're saying the consultation has to be up front. I'm just trying to get my head around what the end game is with it.
I mean, certainly, in terms of the process, it is looking for infrastructure to be able to provide a more streamlined pathway to be having those conversations up front when we are developing strategic documents about what infrastructure is important, to be able to have that conversation with the community and then move forward in a more streamlined process. It doesn't mean that there won't be times when we still need to engage with a community, particularly if there are effects.
Yeah, mine's just more of a question around the process. Obviously, this has been put forward by the coalition government. This is out to every single council. How much input did we have in the formation of the original document before we went out to consultation?
Not much, to be honest. There were some forums established. So for the proposed national environmental standard for Papakāinga, they did ask for early feedback, which we provided informal staff feedback. We're also part of a number of forums, so I'm in the local government practitioners group, where the Ministry for the Environment came on a number of different subjects, and staff were able to provide feedback. But apart from that, and I think the strong feedback that was provided for local government staff at that point in time was, we need to see as much detail as possible. We are still seeking that we see what we call exposure drafts. So the issue with what we're consulting on through this process is we don't have the full drafting. So it's really hard to understand what this means on the ground for our consenting. So we have sought that so we can have another potential opportunity. But there's no requirement for central government to provide that. They will take on all this feedback and then make decisions on the final documentation.
Yep.
So once this is fed back, I'm going to assume X amounts of councils are doing the same. So the government's going to get a large feedback. How much of time and effort that you've put into this is going to be included in the final draft, or is it just going to be, thanks very much, we're moving on? Same thing we get around here.
It's really hard to know how much will be taken on and what the timeframes are for Ministry for the Environment staff to work through that, but they will need to consider all feedback, and we have also through our submission offered to meet and clarify any points that we have made through our submission. We have in the past through the select committee processes and submissions we've made, the feedback from central government is they acknowledge and appreciate the submissions we make because they're extremely detailed. We go line by line and provide what our amendment, what we're actually seeking, and we go as far as writing potential, track changes. So they see value in that because they can actually pick it up and do something with it rather than saying, I don't like this. So I think the quality and the technical nature of going into that detail does have benefit for staff to be able to take that feedback on board.
And have you worked with other growth councils to try and get some sort of alignment in their feedback?
In terms of this submission process, we've been working with our smart growth partners and sharing our submission points, and that's where we've tabled today some proposed changes to align and where they've, I suppose, identified parts or interpreted them differently from how we interpreted them.
Everyone done? All right, well,
Questions, I think.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. If that is all the questions, then I thank you, staff, very much. I think this is a very robust submission, and obviously very technical in nature, which I think staff are very skilled and the best place to do this. But obviously appreciate having that time to take the feedback through the workshop process and incorporate those changes into this. So thank you very much. Therefore, I'll put the resolution to the council. Sorry, yes, I will. You happy to move? Yeah. Councillor Roseboom will second. Thank you very much. Is there any discussion?
Just one change about the amended.
No, it's
Oh,
good.
sorry, just, yeah, sorry, just notice in B, it just says with tabled amendments. That was added from the recommended in the papers. So no further discussion.
I'd just like to echo your comments on the work the staff have done on this and the fact that they are respected at central government. Their opinion does weigh heavily on these discussions, so it's pretty cool that we've got that expertise in-house.
Thank you. That's the end of the debate. We'll now put that to council. Ask all those in favour. Those against? That is carried. Thank you. Well, that will be probably the quickest ever council meeting we'll have. So I thank you, everyone, for your attendance today. It's been a big day, and I would now like to say that the council meeting is closed at 4:18. Thank you very much, everybody.